Well, we'll get started, and then you can, I'll get to the recording afterwards for your patrons to be able to look at, you know. So that should work.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm just going to hide the panels here. Move that up a little bit. Okay, so the program is a program of how I became a real knight in America and why, and what I do as a knight for a few minutes of that. And then I'm going to tell some stories that promote the cause of chivalry. And chivalry means to learn what the right thing is to do and how to go about doing it and why you should. So you can see my email and website. So if any questions, you can email those to me. I'm happy to answer them if you're not alive this time. And so the armor that you see was made of the body, 56 measurements to make for you to be able to wear it. And I want to talk a little bit about the knight's role in the past and the knight's role today. Actually been dubbed the official knight of 10 different cities by the mayors. So you might wonder what we do today. But before I get there, a little bit about why I became a knight. My father is pictured there in the lower photograph, and that's his Purple Heart and his gravestone. He was a brave soldier in World War II, and he fought against the Nazi army, and he lost his life before I was even born. But he wrote a wonderful letter to me, knowing that he might never see me. And in that letter, he told me he wanted me to grow up to be a person of chivalry. And you see the picture in the upper right here. That's my stepfather, Mr. John Prescott, who raised me to think that my dad was like a knight and told me all kinds of stories about knights. So growing up, I wanted to become a real knight. And then I learned that you had to take this oath, the oath of a knight, be loyal of hands and of mouth, and serve every man as best you may. Seek the fellowship of good men, hearken to their words and remember them. Not going to read the whole thing to you, but you can see it there in the video and on the screen. So I swore to this oath. And then after that, I put up a website that said Knight for Hire, and I hope to get hired as a knight in America. And over the many years, about 25 years, I've been dubbed a knight by 10 mayors of 10 cities and a county executive. And when they dub you a knight, they take a sword, touch you on either shoulder and on the head, and they say, I dub you the official knight of our city. And so you can see here on the right, that's the mayor of St. Louis. That's where I live. And back some years ago, Mayor Harmon dubbed me the official knight of the city of St. Louis. And some of the other cities where I've been dubbed a knight, Effingham, Bethalto, North Tonawanda, Gerald, Missouri, Webster Groves, West Plains, Creve Coeur, and so on, Forsyth. And when you're dubbed a knight, they give you a key to the city, which is pretty neat to have. And the ancient knights used to get a key to the city when they were dubbed the knight of that city, because they would open the gate to the city to those who wanted to get in. You had to go past them to get into the city. Yeah. What's that? Anyway, this is the armor that I wear on the right, a diagram with all the different names. And then over here is a diagram of the armor that is worn by the soldiers today. They still wear armor, but not made of steel. It's made out of bulletproof garments and things like that. And again, these are some pictures of the armor. Christian Fletcher made it for me. And he made it in Nampa, Idaho, and he made it to fit my body. I'm going to take off that 3 o'clock start time here. It's kind of getting in the way. I can figure out how to get rid of the animation. Get rid of it. Oh yeah, clear it. There we go. I'm going to clear all the drawings there. That'll help me so I don't have that in the way anymore. Anyway, you can see how the various parts go on my body in these photographs. And you can see on the left, I'm wearing a crown, Well, that's because sometimes they've asked me to ride in the parades in St. Louis as King Louis. There's a statue of him in front of the art museum, and I had Mr. Fletcher make me a crown that looks like King Louis so I could pretend I was being that great king of France after whom St. Louis is named as a city. And dragons. Well, you're going to hear about a dragon in a story I'm going to tell you because I do believe there were real dragons. And actually, the St. Louis Zoo told me they have a real dragon there. It's called the Komodo dragon. And there are little ones in the zoo, but they get to be quite big on the island of Komodo. And we knights can kneel in our armor, if you see there. You can see the visor going up and down. And it's doesn't flip up that quickly. You have to do it manually. I just kind of animated it here. The shield that I have is a symbol of various portions, why I became a knight. The blue and white stripes were worn by my father in World War II, 3rd Division of the United States Army. The cross, a symbol of a knight's faith in Jesus. And then the 3 flower-like symbols are symbols of the 3 oaths or promises I've made. One is a scout, one to my wife Margie when I married her 50 plus years ago, and the other the symbol of my oath as a knight. And you can see that the armor consists of various pieces. It has a helmet, a breastplate, chainmail around my waist and around my head. You can get in closer to see the chainmail. That's worn over your head so that you can turn your head and your neck various ways. And then the shoes I wear have no bottoms to them. They just go over my knee-high moccasins. The chainmail is woven. You can see the links here and how it is woven together. These links are created by wrapping a wire around a dowel, cutting it and snipping it, and then putting them together. And this is a description of each of the pieces of the armor. I'm not going to go into that now, but if you pause the video, you can study over the various pieces of the armor. And this video will be on the library's website with a YouTube link after the session is over. So you can pause it and read some of this text. Now the pommel of the sword, the round part of the handle, is hollow, and the knight puts inside of there 2 secret things. One secret is a lock of his lady's hair. The other secret, if you want to find out, you can go to our website, knightforhire.com, but basically it's about the armor of God. The knight's role back in the Middle Ages was as a warrior. He fought in a lot of battles to defend his country. But today, the knights do not do that anymore. We tell stories, and that's why the mayors have dubbed me the knight of their cities, to tell stories that promote the cause of chivalry. Here's some pictures of me telling stories in various places. So I'm about to tell you some of these stories. The first one is going to be Sir Wally and the Chicken and how to become brave. And so a long time ago, there was a great knight. He was the biggest knight I ever heard of. He was about 8 foot tall and a giant of a man, and he thought he knew how to be brave. I'll pretend I'm Sir Wally for a moment so you get the idea of the kind of knight that he was. Yes, I am Sir Wally, the bravest knight that ever lived. And if you want to get brave, here's what you have to do. You have to get gigantic like me. What should I be afraid of? Yes, that's how you get to be brave. Oh, I am bigger than everything and everyone, and I'm not afraid, therefore. Now, my friends, the truth is, Sir Wally was wrong. That is not how you get to be brave, and he's going to find out as this story goes along. One day, Sir Wally decided he'd walk out into the woods and try to find some creatures to fight against to show how brave he was. Hey, look at there on the ground, the tracks of 3 bears. Hey, I see they ran over there into that cave. I see you in that cave. Come on at me, you bears. Come on at me. Ah, they're a bunch of chicken bears hiding in the cave. They saw how big I am, and they're afraid of me. All of a sudden, a little girl came running down the path, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs, "Oh, Sir Wally, please help me, please help me." "Oh, little girl, something chasing you? Just get behind me. I'll protect you, don't you worry." So the little girl got behind Sir Wally, and he said, "What's chasing you?" "It's a dragon." "Oh, a little dragon. I'm bigger than any dragon I ever met, don't you worry." "Oh, Sir Wally, there are two things I have to tell you about this dragon." "Okay, what are they?" "Well, in the first place, he's not little. He's twice as big as you are." "What? Twice as big as me? What? What's the other thing you got to tell me?" "Well, he breathes fire so hot that he breathed it at me, but I got behind a rock, but he melted the rock like it was butter. Oh, Sir Wally, he's coming now." And Sir Wally said, "Little girl, if he melts, he can melt my armor, and he's twice as big as me. I'm afraid. I can't help you. You better go climb that tree over there." "I'll hide my tree." So Sir Wally hid behind a tree, and the little girl climbed up the tree. And now the dragon came into the story. "Ah, where's that little girl? I'm going to cook her with fire and eat her for my lunch." And he looked up there in the tree. "Hey, little girl, who told you to climb a tree away from my dragon? Don't you know I climb trees with my claws?" And he started to climb up the tree after the little girl. "Oh, no." And she looked down and saw him open his mouth with fire gurgling in his throat. "Oh, no." And she called Sir Wally, "Sir Wally, please, please." And Sir Wally peeked out from behind the tree and said, "Oh, little girl, don't run over here like that. You'll see me and come and get next. Just be quiet and don't bother me anymore." And Sir Wally hid behind the tree. So the dragon opened his big mouth, and he's about to cook the little girl and eat her. And all of a sudden, I forgot to tell you part of the story. Earlier in the day, a chicken had walked through the forest and laid a chicken egg right there behind the tree where Sir Wally is hiding. And at this very moment, the chicken egg has a little baby chicken. And the little chicken looks up and sees the big knife behind the tree. "Oh, don't say anything down there at me. Stop my name." "I'm Sir Wally, and I'm not going to step on you. But please be quiet. Stop all that chirping. Don't you see the dragon up the tree? He'll come and get us. Keep making all that noise." And the little chicken looked up and said, "Oh, there's a little girl up top the tree. You should go help her. You're a big knight. You should go help her." "I can't. The dragon breathes fire so hot he'd melt my armor. There's nothing we can do." "But we will be quiet." The little says, "No, I'm an angry little bird at that dragon. I'm going to go help her if you won't." And so Wally says, "Be quiet and get out of here then. Go on, you silly bird." And so the dragon hopped up on the tree, climbed up the tree, hopped on the dragon's nose and said, "You bad wagon. You let this little girl alone. I'm an angry little bird at you for scaring her like this. Go away." And the dragon looks at him on the end of his nose and says, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start fire my nose right now and cook you first. And eat you like a little chicken nugget." So the dragon took a hot, fiery breath, and he was about to cook the little chicken right off his nose. But the chicken took his feathery wing and tickled the dragon's nose, so he had to sneeze. And then the chicken jumped out of the way, and the dragon had to sneeze a gigantic rocket ship sneeze. Ah, 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 choo. And the dragon shot himself like a rocket ship up in the air. He landed in the river, and he drowned because he didn't know how to swim. And the little chicken got on the little girl's finger, and they came down and went over to Sir Wally, who now came out from behind the tree and said, "Oh, little chicken, how come you were so brave? I need with a muscle in my armor behind the tree like a chicken. I'm a chicken." And the little chicken says, "Sorry, children, because it's a lesson of chivalry, how you to be brave." The little chicken says, "Well, Sir Wally, I think what happened was this. When you saw the little girl in trouble, so you hid yourself behind the tree. But when I saw the little girl in trouble, I didn't think of myself. I only thought of her and how I could help her. And so I would help her. And that's how you get to be brave. You stop thinking of yourself and you think of others instead." Sir Wally said, "You're right, little chicken. I want to be brave like a chicken like you and forget about myself and others instead." Now, girls, let's hear is that when you make up the great thing like this, what do you make this a great day? Why do you make this a great day for my mother, my father, my sisters, my brothers, and everybody I meet? If you think that way in one year. So now we're going on to another story. This one is Sir Gawain and the name Dragon and the Armadillo. And its story is all about to have an interesting name and keep it interesting. And so a long time ago, there was a knight. The name of the knight was Sir Gawain. You'll hear about him as we go along, and I'll pretend I'm him. "Well, I'm going to walk through this forest, I can't see where I'm going. It's so dark here today.
Turn off the TV. Lily, come on.
Picture doesn't show how dark it is. And did someone say something? Anyway, it's so dark in here, I can't see where I'm going, but I've got to go ahead anyway. So I walked along in the forest, and all of a sudden, I stepped on something, and it yelled at me, "Ow, ow, get off of me, you're so heavy, ow, ow. Are you a knight walking in the dark and you can't see where you're going?" Well, yeah. Well, get off of me, you're so heavy. Oh, I'm sorry, but what are you? I'm an armadillo. You could have squashed me. Think what would have happened if you would have stepped on a squirrel or a bunny rabbit. I have all this armor on me. Oh, I'm so sorry, armadillo. I shouldn't be walking in the dark and I can't see where I'm going. That's right. Now, what's your name? Well, I don't like to say my name. It's Sir KWAIN, knight without an interesting name. That's how you spell it, KWAIN, knight without an interesting name. I can't think of an interesting name, so I just go by that name. And the armadillo said, wait a minute. I know where you can get a really interesting name. Where is that? From the name dragon. A name dragon? I never heard of a name dragon. Oh, yes. He breathes smoke out of his nose, and the smoke goes up in the sky and spells all kinds of interesting names. And you could get one for yourself there. I like that idea. So as soon as the sun came up, I said, let's go find the name dragon. And so as we walked along, I started to think, wait a minute, I didn't ask the armadillo his name. That wasn't polite. So I said, Sir Armadillo, my armadillo friend, what is your name, Sir Armadillo? I should have asked you. And the armadillo turned and said, don't call me sir. I'm a lady armadillo. Oh, I'm sorry, my lady, but what is your name? And then the armadillo started to cry. Well, what are you crying for? I just asked you what your name was. I know, but I don't have a name. My mother and father couldn't think of any name to give me, so I don't have a name at all. And not only that, I have 4 little baby armadillos growing inside of me, and they're going to be born pretty soon. And I can't think of any names to give them either. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we going right now? You're taking me to see the name dragon, right? Yes, we're going to see the name dragon with all those interesting names up in the sky, right? Yes. Okay, well, why didn't you go get a name for yourself and your little ones a long time ago? Oh, I couldn't do that. Mother and father told me that the favorite food of the name dragon is armadillos, and he would have eaten me. But won't you protect me with your sword today so I can get a name? Yes, I will. Don't you worry. I'll protect you against that dragon. Now, as we went along, all of a sudden, the path got real smoky, and the smoke cleared out of the way, and there before us was the biggest dragon I ever saw. Oh, I said, Armadillo, I don't think I can protect you against this dragon. He's too big. Well, let's get out of here then. Well, no, let's go hide behind a tree. We'll peek around the tree before he sees us, and we can see the names. Well, okay. So we hid behind a tree, and we watched the dragon's nose as names went up into the sky out of his nose. And I said, do you see any names for yourself and your little ones? She looked and she said, oh, yes, there's some names for my little babies. Arma Emma, Arma Ursula, Arma Ella, and Arma Billy. Yeah, those are good names for my little armadillo babies. Now, what about your name? Well, okay, let me see. Oh, yes, there goes my name, Arma Mama. That's my name. Now you get a name, Sir KWAIN. And I looked, I couldn't see any. I said, we better get going before he sees us peeking around the tree. Oh, no, he won't see us. Go ahead, keep looking. Well, I kept looking, but all of a sudden, the dragon saw us peeking around from the tree, and he came down with that big mouth, and he swallowed Arma Mama right down his smoky throat. And I said, oh, what kind of a night am I? I told Arma Mama I'd protect her, and now she's in the belly of that stinky dragon. Oh, no. But maybe I can think of an idea what to do. And so I started thinking and thinking, and I got an idea how I could rescue her. I said, come and swallow me, you old dragon. And he came down to get me. But I was thinking, and this was my idea. I put my sword between his teeth so he couldn't close his mouth down on me. I reached down in his smoky throat and grabbed a hold of the tail of Arma Mama, and I threw her out on the ground, and she started crying. I said, oh, Arma Mama, did you get hurt? No, I didn't, but when I was inside that beast's belly, I got so excited that all four of my babies popped out of me. So Arma Emma, Arma Ursula, Arma Ella, Arma Billy, they're all down inside the belly of the dragon. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. No, don't be sorry. Go get them. Well, I'll try. So I reached down inside the dragon's throat, and I got a hold of the tail of one of them, and I pulled hard, and they all grabbed a hold of each other, and I grabbed them all out, and I threw them out on the grass with Arma Mama. And then I jumped out of that dragon's mouth. I don't know how I did it, but I grabbed a hold of his tail, and I swung him around, and I threw him in the river, and he drowned because he didn't know how to swim. And Arma Mama and Arma Emma and Arma Ursula and Arma El and Arma Billy, they all lived happily ever after. But I wanted to tell you this story because it's important for you to know that your name is an interesting name that was been given to you by your mothers and your fathers, and your name can be interesting to others in a good way if you are kind to other people. But it cannot be an interesting name to them at all if you're not kind. For example, my name is Carl, and if I would come to your school and I would be a new boy and you would say, what's your name, new boy? You're being polite, asking me my name. I said, my name is Carl. Oh, Carl, look at this popsicle stick castle I made out of popsicles, gluing them together. And I come over and I look at it and I take my fist and I pound it and break it to pieces. And then I see a boy about to sit down at his chair, and I run over and pull the chair out from under him, and he falls on the floor. And I see a little girl, and I go over and I look at her hair, and I reach out and I pull her hair real hard. Oh, the next time I come back to your school, and maybe there was someone sick that day and didn't see me do all this stuff, and they say to you, what's the name of that new boy? You're going to say my name like this. Oh, that's Carl. Woo, be careful around him. He's no boy of chivalry, that's for sure. Don't you see what happened to my interesting name because I wasn't kind to others? But if I came to your school and instead of behaving that way, I would behave this way. Oh, hello, new boy. What's your name? My name is Carl. Carl, look at my popsicle stick castle I made. Wow, that's a great castle. You're a good castle builder with popsicle sticks. And then I saw a little boy about to sit down at his chair, but it's not under him far enough. So I rushed over and I pushed it under him so he didn't fall on the floor. And then I see a little girl and I walk over to her and I say, oh, that's some of the prettiest hair I've ever seen on a little girl. Now, do you see how you'll think of my name? The next time I come back and somebody didn't meet me before, you'll say my name like this. Oh yeah, that's Carl. He's a boy of chivalry. He knows how to be kind to others. He's got an interesting name, don't you see? So that's the lesson of Sir Gawain and the Armadillo and how your name is important. Keep your reputation good by being kind to other people. And now we come to another story that you may have heard part of, but not probably all of it. It's Sir Gawain and Humpty Dumpty. And this is about truth, kindness, and carefulness. And so a long time ago, I was riding through a woods and I came to a wall. And there lying on the ground were a pair of red lips floating in a pool of yellow yolk. And the red lips said to me, "Oh, who are you riding along here? Oh, help me, help me." I said, "Well, what were you?" "I was Humpty Dumpty. I was up on my wall and I fell off and I splattered all to pieces. And my eyes are over there behind the tree. I can't even see you over here. But are you a knight?" "Yes, I am a knight." "Well, would you put me together again, please? Please?" "Well, I don't know if I could. Did you call the king and his men and the horses? Didn't they come and did they try?" "Well, yes, but they couldn't do it." "Well, I don't know how I can put an egg together. I never heard of an egg being put together before." "Oh, wouldn't you at least try? You're a knight. You should do it." "Well, I'll try it." So I reached down and I picked up a couple of broken pieces of egg and I found they fit together like a puzzle. But as soon as I let go, they fell apart. And I said, "I'm sorry, Humpty Dumpty. I would need glue and I don't have any glue." "Oh, no. What kind of knight are you? You don't have any glue." "Well, we knights don't carry bottles of glue around. We have swords and things, but we don't carry glue around." "Oh," Humpty said, "a knight without any glue." Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Humpty said. My eyes rolled over behind the tree and they're looking straight up there. And there's a beehive up in the tree with those bees in there. "Well, okay, but we're not looking for bees. We're looking for glue." "I know, but to make something sticky inside of that beehive. I forget what they call it. I don't think. You mean honey?" "Yeah, honey. It's sticky. You could glue it together with honey." "Well, I'll try it." So I went over and put my sword up inside of the beehive. I didn't want to disturb the bees too badly, so I only took a little, just enough to glue Humpty. And I was able to glue all of the pieces of the shell together with honey, except one more piece that was on the top of the shell. I was about to glue it there, and Humpty's head lying in the pool of yellow yolk on the ground said, "No, don't put that there yet. You need that hole because you're going to have to scoop out all my yellow yolk that's on the ground and pour it inside. That's part of me. You got to put that inside of my eggshell." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, Humpty, I can't do it." "Well, why not?" "Because I need a bucket to scoop it all up. I can have a bucket." "Well, you could use your helmet. You could take that out and scoop it up your helmet." "Well, yeah, but then would my helmet be sticky inside? It looks like stuff." "Yes, it'll be sticky. You're a mate. You should do it." Well, okay, I'll scoop out all the yellow and pour it inside my sticky helmet on my head. There you go, Humpty. "Oh, no, glue all my other parts on me. My red lips, my nose, and everything." "Oh, yeah." So I went down to his red lips, stuck on it, got his cute little nose, put that on their eyes, I put on there, and then I looked around and said, "Do you have ears?" "Of course I have ears. What do you think I'm listening to you with?" "Well, I don't see any ears laying around." "Well, they were over by my nose." "Oh, somebody must have taken my ears." I looked up in a tree. "Humpty, look up there in that tree. You see that squirrel with those ears on his little head? Are those your ears?" "Oh, yes, they are. Oh, my ears." "Oh, hey, Mr. Squirrel up in the tree." "Yeah, what?" "You look kind of funny with those big ears on your little head. Are you sure those are your ears?" "What do you mean I look funny? I don't like to look funny." He took the ears off and threw them on the ground, and I stuck them on Humpty Dumpty. And I said, "Now, where are your legs?" "Oh, you see them. Little stick-like legs, right?" "Yeah, that's my legs." I stuck them on there in his little stick-like arms. And as soon as I had him, he jumped on his wall. And he started to dance up on the wall and sing a silly song. "I'm Humpty Dumpty, dancing on my wall. I won't fall." I said, "Humpty Dumpty, you better get down from there, or you're going to break yourself apart again." "No, I won't. I like my wall. I like dancing up here. Now go away, Sir Queen." "Wait a minute. You told me I could find an interesting name somewhere. What's that place?" "Well, I don't know about that. I just told you a lie because I want you to put me together. So now go away, Sir Queen." He said, "Humpty, you lied to a knight." "Oh, well, yeah." And he thought maybe I'd break my heart with my sword. I would not. So he thought to himself like this, "I said something. What do I tell him?" "Oh, wait a minute. I know what I'll tell him. Oh, say, you climb up there on my wall and look down on the other side. The children come and write all kinds of interesting names on the other side of my wall." "Humpty Dumpty, are you telling the truth?" And Humpty said, "Well, are you? Yes, I'm telling the truth." All right, so I climbed up his wall and leaned over and down there to see what kind of names would be there. And Humpty Dumpty crept over behind me and he pushed his little hands right off the wall and crashed onto the ground. "Oh, that hurt." "Ow, ow, ow." And I looked on the other side of his wall and there were no names there at all. I said, "Humpty Dumpty, you lied to me again." Ow, ow, ow. And they're saying that, "Humpty Dumpty, dancing on my wall. I won't fall." I said, "Humpty Dumpty, you're a babe. I'm going to get on my horse and ride away." "Go away, Sir King." So I went on my horse, but as I did, the bees came out of the beehive and they were mad as hornets, those bees were. And they swarmed around Humpty Dumpty. They smelled that honey that I used to glue together, and they swarmed down at him and they knocked him off his wall and all over the ground he was again. And I said, "Oh, Humpty Dumpty, I told you not to get up on that wall." Okay, all broken apart again. And his red lips lying in that pool of yellow said, oh, Sir KWAIN, I learned my lessons together again. I won't go back on my wall. I promise. Well, all right. But I'm not going to glue it together with honey. The bees didn't like it. So I'm going to use mud. Mud? I'll look all dirty. Well, yes, you will, but that's what happens when you're not careful. And so I glued Humpty back together with mud. As soon as he was glued back together, you know what he did. He jumped on the wall and started dancing up there singing that silly song. Goodbye, you silly egg. I wrote it. And as I fell away, I heard the sound. Whoa, spat! I think again, and I might go that way again to put him together again. I don't know. I told you this story for 3 important reasons. There are 3 things that Humpty Dumpty does in the story that are the way it showed. First of all, he used his tongue to tell lies. No, you won't give in your tongue to tell lies, but to tell the truth. And that's the way of chivalry. Also, Humpty took his hands and he pushed me off the wall. If you look at your hands right now, do you think those hands were given to you so you could push people, punch them, pinch them, pull their hair? No, your hands were given to you so you could be helpful to other people. Also, another bad thing, it's not the way of doing it. He was dangerous to himself. It wasn't careful. If you were an egg, would you be dancing on top of a wall? No. Well, we all need to be careful with our bodies. We can't just be thinking and running across streets without looking both ways. All kinds of ways you can be dangerous to yourself. You need to be careful about what you eat and what you drink and how you behave yourself, or else you'll get broken. We don't want that to happen. Other people will have to take care of us instead of us being able to help them. So keep these things in mind. And that's the lesson of Humpty. Now I come to another story. It is Sir Watermelon, about our anger and our temper. So I'm going to go to Sir Watermelon. Before I tell this story, I thought it would be good for you to see what I could do if I was there in person by slashing a watermelon in half with my sword. So watch this. And the children really like it because they've never seen a watermelon get slashed in half just by one blow. So a sword can do that, and it's the only thing I really use my sword for anymore. But now to the story of Sir Watermelon. Sir Watermelon. Sir Watermelon was a little tiny boy before he became a knight. He was a little tiny boy in England. He was only about 9 inches tall. That's all. 9 years old, 9 inches tall. He hadn't grown very big. One day he walked out of his father's house. They lived in England near the ocean, and he said, "Oh, look at that. Father has raised giant watermelons. I am going to go out and push one down the hill and watch it roll out on the ocean. Father won't miss one watermelon." So he went out and he pushed real hard on a watermelon. I can't do it. Well, I shouldn't expect to be able to. I'm only 9 inches tall. The watermelon's taller than me. Oh, well, I'll walk down the hill and I'll play in the sand and down by the beach. So he started walking down the hill. As he walked down the hill, all of a sudden, he heard a thumping and a bumping noise behind him. What's that thumping and bumping noise behind me? And he turned around, and it was the watermelon. Somehow it had broken loose off the vine, and it was bouncing down the hill right after him. Oh, no! And he ran as fast as he could, but you know he couldn't run very fast. And so the watermelon caught up to him and rolled right over the top of him and pushed him down in a big mud puddle. Ah, yuck! And he got up and he wiped the mud out of his eyes and his face, and he watched the watermelon bounce down the hill and went out into the ocean, and the waves took it away. And then he got real mad. Oh, I'm so mad at watermelons. When I grow up, I'm going to become a big knight. I'm going to get a big sword, and I'm going to go around and cut up every watermelon I can find. That's what I'm going to do. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. He grew up to be a big knight, got himself a big sword, and he would go around all the villages in England, and he would ask the children, "Do you have watermelons here? I'd like to see them." And if you said yes, and you took them to see the watermelons, you know he didn't want to just see them. He took out his big sword and slashed up every single watermelon you had. And pretty soon, he had been to every village and town in England, and he cut up everybody's watermelons. There weren't any left, and he went back home. He walked down to the beach, and he walked out there on the beach, and he said, "Watermelon that pounced up and hit my head and pushed me in the mud when I was a little boy, why don't you come back now on the ocean waves? I'd like to see you again." And he waited and waited, And one day when he did this, he saw the watermelon coming back way out there in the ocean. Oh, look at the little watermelon so far away. Come on, waves, get bigger. Throw it up here. I'll take care of it. The waves got bigger, and they hurled the watermelon closer and closer. And now he knew he was in trouble. Sir Watermelon looked as the waves threw it closer and closer. And you know what happened. A watermelon out on the ocean all those years, those many years, didn't stop growing. It became bigger than a house, and a giant watermelon hurled it up on the beach. And he tried to run up the hill away from it, but all that armor, he couldn't run very fast. The watermelon caught up to him and pushed him down in a big mud puddle. Oh no, not again, and all on my armor. Oh, yuck. And the watermelon kept going up the hill and bounced down the other side. Oh no, father and mother are sleeping in the house, and at the bottom of the hill, the giant watermelon will squash them in the house too. I've got to think of something. And so he took his sword and threw it at the giant watermelon and cut it right in half. And everyone lived happily ever after without any watermelons. But Sir Watermelon never learned the secret of how to get mad and not do bad. And that's the secret I'm going to tell you now. Sir Watermelon needed to learn this secret. When you get mad, here's what happens. You get all kinds of angry strength in your body. And you got to do something to get it out of your body. And most of the time, most people, when they get mad, will get that mad strength out by doing bad things. But you don't have to. Here's the secret of how to be a person of chivalry when you get mad. This next time you get mad, you do this. Oh, I'm so mad and I got all this mad strength in my body. I got to do something with it. But I don't want to do a bad thing. I want to be a person of chivalry and do a good thing with my mad strength to get it out of my body. And if you can't think of a good thing to do to get that mad strength out of your body, and you happen to believe in God, you could even ask God, oh, God, what can I do that's good with my mad strength? I want to be a person of chivalry and do a good thing. And maybe if you listen carefully in your mind, you hear something like this. Clean up your room. And so then you would run to your room and you would pick up all your toys, put all your books away, make your bed. And mother and father hear all that commotion up in your room and they think, well, he was mad. Carl was mad. And he's making all that noise up in his room. He must be messing up things. And they come up there and they look in your room. What? You were mad? And you picked up your room? Yes, mother and father, because I remember what night Carl told me. I want to be a person of chivalry. And from now on, when I get mad, I'm going to think of something good to do to get the mad strength out of my body. And so that's the lesson of chivalry that you've learned from Sir Watermelon. And so these are the stories that I believe I had time to tell you today. And I want to take a moment now to see if we have any questions. So I'm going to take a pause here and I'm going to stop sharing the screen with you and come back and see if any of you have any questions. And so I can unmute you if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me at this time.
I like being a knight.
What's the question?
Ask him.
I like being a knight.
He's asking if you like being a knight.
Oh, yes, I love being a knight. And like one of the things I love to do is put on my helmet, you know. You know, a lot of people now.
You're funny.
They have to have visors, you know, they have to wear.
Well, you gotta wear a costume. I'm gonna be a knight with a big metal sword.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. Any other questions? Do you remember the story of the, what was the lesson of Sir Wally and the little chicken? Does anyone know? Sir Wally and the chicken? That's right, the answer was how to be brave by not thinking of yourself and thinking of others instead. Okay? And Any other questions? Okay, well then, I think what I'm going to do is go back and tell you some more stories. We've got a little bit of time left, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you again. Okay, so one of the stories that I like to tell is the story of the lonely woman and the talking centipede. And it's a lesson of patience. So I'm going to tell you that story now. Okay, so before I start, you have to know what a centipede is. A centipede is a bug with all those legs, you know. And so keeping that in mind, here's how the story goes. A long time ago, in the land of England, there was a lonely woman who lived way, way far away from the village of Bingley. And nobody would come and talk to her. And she got so lonely that she would cry and just eat her muffins. And, oh, I have no one to talk to. One day, a knight rode out that way. He was lost, and he saw this lonely woman crying. And he said, "My lady, what's wrong?" "Oh, nobody ever comes out this way unless they're lost. And I don't have anybody to talk to you. Are you coming out this way because you're lost?" "Well, I was looking for the village of Haworth. Is this the way?" "No, it's not. You got to go back and turn right." "Oh, nobody comes out. I don't have anybody to talk to." "Hey, I know what your solution is. Here's what you do. You go into the village of Bingley, and there's a man there who's selling talking parrots." "Talking parrots? I never heard of a talking parrot. What is it?" "It's a bird that talks." "I have lots of birds out here, and none of them talk. They just go peep, 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 twit, twit, twit. That's all they do. They're pretty, but they don't talk to me." "Well, these parrots talk. I'm telling you, I heard them. You should go and buy one before he sells them all." "Oh, okay." And so she put on her shoes and she walked all the way into the village of Bingley. And she went up to the man who was selling the animals. And she said, "Oh, do you have a talking parrot? I'd like to buy one to keep me company and talk to me. Would you please give me one of them? How much are they?" "My lady, I'm sorry. I've sold all of my talking parrots." "Oh, no. I've got to walk all this way for nothing?" "Now, wait a minute. If you just want a creature to talk to you, I do have a talking creature over in that little tiny box." The box was only about 1 inch square. And she said, "What could be living in a box like that talks?" "Well, open it up and see." And so she opened up the box, and she saw inside of it a centipede, one of those bugs with all those legs on it. And she said, "Are you saying this bug can talk?" "I guarantee it, ma'am. I guarantee it." "Well, your money back if you buy it and it doesn't talk for you." "Well, all right." She bought the centipede and took it back home. She put it down on her kitchen floor in her house. And she said, "Centipede, I'm going to go for a walk. And I always go for a walk, and I'm so lonely, no one to talk with. Would you go for a walk with me and talk with me?" "Centipede, did you hear me?" The centipede didn't say anything. And so she said, "Well, maybe centipedes can't hear very well. I'll just speak up to it. Centipede, I said, I'm going for a walk. Will you go for a walk with me and talk with me today? Can you hear me?" The centipede still didn't say anything. And so she said, "Well, maybe centipedes are deaf. I don't know. Or maybe I got cheated. I'll take this centipede back and get my money." Wait a minute. That man was packing up to leave Bingley. He's not even there anymore. I must have got cheated. I bought a centipede that's supposed to talk. Oh, well, maybe, wait a minute. Maybe centipedes are hard of hearing so badly that you really have to speak loudly to them. So she shouted at the centipede, "Centipede, I said, I'm going for a walk. Will you go for a walk and talk with me? And the centipede looked up and said, I am putting on my shoes. Don't you see the problem? The woman was not being patient with her bug because a centipede, well, how many shoes does the average woman have to put on her feet before she goes for a walk? Just 2. But a centipede has 100 legs and it has to put all those shoes on before it can go for a walk. So the woman was not being patient with her bug. And that's the lesson of chivalry I wanted to give you, children. Sometimes someone doesn't get things as quickly as you do, or doesn't get ready as quickly as you do, or sometimes they are a little bit troublesome and they're not as kind as they should be yet. And so you lose patience with them, but you need patience with other people. And sometimes they need to be patient with you too. Patience is a virtue. It is a part of chivalry, being patient with one another. And in fact, it is said in 1 Corinthians, love is patient. So be a loving person, be patient with one another. And so here we are back again, and I'll try to take some more questions from anyone. You have to unmute yourself. I'm going to try to see if I can do that. Unmute you. Participants. Well, just in case you have some questions, let me see. I'm going to unmute you. And you might have to unmute yourself too. Are there any questions? No more questions? Okay. Well, let me go back. I've still got a few more minutes, so I can tell you another story. And so I'll go back and do that. And then if you do have questions, you can send them in chat to me or to my email message too. So let me go back and share my screen again. And another story that I like to tell is the story of Peter, Pumpkin Eater. This is a story that you might know part of, but you probably don't know all of it. And it goes like this. A long time ago, as a knight, I was riding along and I went into a village and there were some women at a water well and they were crying. I said, my ladies, what are you crying about? Oh, we heard about this bad man. His name is Peter, Pumpkin Eater. And he raises pumpkins and he's put his wife inside of a pumpkin shell and he's keeping her there. What? That's no way of chivalry. Peter, Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her. So he put her in a pumpkin shell and there he kept her. Not very well, I wouldn't say. Where does this Peter live? I said. And so I rode out toward the pumpkin patch. And as I got closer, I saw these gigantic pumpkins. Oh my goodness, gigantic pumpkins they were. And I saw one pumpkin and there was a woman inside of it. And she was crying. I said, oh my goodness, my lady, are you Peter, Pumpkin Eater's wife? And she said, yes, I am. Oh, what's your name? I said, well, I don't have a very interesting name. I go by the name Sir KWAIN, knight without an interesting name. Oh, Sir KWAIN, could you get me out of here? Yes, I will. Don't you worry. But may I ask you, before I slice the top of that pumpkin off and let you out of there, why does Peter, Pumpkin Eater, put you in a pumpkin shell to keep you. Why does he have to do that to keep you? You run away from him, do you? Well, here's what happens. Peter, pumpkin eater, will only eat pumpkins. He won't eat anything else. He wants pumpkin pie. He wants pumpkin pizza. He wants pumpkin, well, whatever pumpkin you can make out of pumpkins, that's all he will eat. He won't eat anything else. And so that's what I have to cook for him. And I get tired of cooking pumpkin stuff and only eating pumpkin stuff. And so then I say, Peter, try something else. No, he says, nothing will ever come into my mouth except pumpkin stuff. That's the only thing that tastes any good. My mother and father, when I was growing up, tried to get me to eat other things like potatoes or strawberries or anything. And I would not. I'd shut my mouth and I said, no, I only eat pumpkin pie or pumpkin stuff. That's all for me. So even my mother and father couldn't get me to eat anything else. And I won't eat anything else. So you keep cooking pumpkin stuff. Well, I got tired of it. So then I'd run away. But he's a giant. He's not a small man. He's a giant of a man. He would run after me and catch me. And he would put me in a pumpkin shell. And he would keep me there until I would agree to cook pumpkins for him. And then he'd let me out. And then I would come back and cook pumpkins. And then I would run away. And then he would put me in a pumpkin. Okay, I get the idea, my lady. Duck down. I'm going to slice the top of that pumpkin off. So I sliced the top of the pumpkin shell off. And I grabbed the lady and I put her on the back of my horse. Now you tell me where Peter pumpkin eater lives. I'm going to take you there and I'm going to talk to this Peter pumpkin eater. I'm going to get him to try other food so you'll stay with him. Oh, he won't, Sir Queen, he won't. Don't you worry, I'll talk to him. So I rode along and I said, where's the house? It's not a house. It's that giant pumpkin over there. He carved that big pumpkin into a house for himself. Oh my goodness. So I went over there and I knocked on the door of Peter pumpkin eater's house. And I said, Peter, come on out of there. I want to talk to you. And I didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden I heard a giant thumping noise. He was walking toward the door. He was so big that the earth shook. And I was boom, boom, boom. I was bouncing up in the air. He was so big. And he opened the big door and he looked down at me. What do you want, Sir Knight? I said, my name is Sir KWAIN, the knight without an interesting name. You silly knight. Hey, is that my wife on your horse back there? Yes, she's on my horse. You took her out of the pumpkin shell? Yes, I did. And Peter, here's the thing. You're going to have to try something else. My lady, you will stay with Peter if he'll try some other things and won't like the taste of them, won't you? Yes, I will. Peter, if you'll try something else I cook for you and you don't like it, I won't run away anymore. I promise. Well, too bad. I'm not going to taste anything but pumpkins. And this little tiny pee-wee knight standing before me, he's not going to stop me. So you go away, Sir Knight, the knight without an interesting name, and I'll put her right back in a pumpkin shell. And I said, no, Peter, you're not going to do that. I'm going to fight you now. You're going to fight me, you little pipsqueak? I'll tell you what's going to happen to you. And he went and got a big log, a gigantic log. And he said, do you want to taste this? You want to feel this on your numbskull head? I'm going to whack you with it if you don't go away. No, Peter, I'm fighting you right now. I didn't draw my sword or anything. I just went ahead and let him hit me on the head with that big log. And he knocked me down. Didn't hurt me any. I got a very good steel helmet on. And he said, now, are you done fighting? No, I'm still fighting you. You're laying on your back, you silly knight. So he kept slamming me with that big log. Bang, 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 bang. Now are you done fighting? No, I'm not. Keep on going. And he kept doing it. Bang, 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 bang. And pretty soon, he was so tired, he fell over into the ground. I got up and put my foot on his chest, and I said, I beat you. Now you have to do what your wife said for you to do. You've got to try something. Well, all right, you beat me, but I'm not going to like it. So she went in and she cooked an apple pie, and she brought out the piece of apple pie and she said, here, try this, Peter. Peter said, oh, I'm not going to like this. I hate doing this. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, apples are good. I love the taste of apple pie. See, I told you, Peter. Now, you can try all kinds of things, and your wife will cook them, and you'll live happily ever after. Oh, no, 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 no. From now on, I'm going to be Peter, apple eater. I'm not going to eat anything but apples. No, Peter, no, no, no. You promised you would try it. Now your wife will cook other things, and you'll like them too. And so I rode away, and I heard a long time ago that Peter and his wife are doing fine, and he was eating all kinds of things, even spinach. Now, the lesson of chivalry for you children is this, that when your mother and father put things before you to eat, and you say, I don't like that, your mother and father love you, and they want you to eat a balanced diet of many different foods. And if you learn to do that, you will be a person of chivalry, and your body will be healthier than if you just eat only a few things that you like. And as you grow up, you'll learn to like them better. So I'm going to stop sharing here and come back, and the time is up, but I sure enjoyed sharing with you, and I hope we can have another story session again. And librarian, I will put this recording up on the internet on YouTube and send you the link to it so you can share it with other patrons. Thank you very much for attending.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Bye.